What's up, people? I'm back again today. Been at it for a while now, I guess. Woke up kind of early. Usually don't make multiple videos in a day. There's a reason why. Let me gather my thoughts here. So this video is there was a debate last night on the Arkansas State News, KTV. Channel 7, there was a debate by Mr. Jerry Cox, Mr. Eddie Armstrong, and Miss Melissa Fultz. Mr. Armstrong and Miss Fultz are both advocates of cannabis legalization. They have differences of opinions on um, how about how legalization should be implemented. I'll get into that. Mr. Cox, Jerry Cox. I guess he's just completely against legalization in any form. From my understanding, I believe he was against even medical cannabis when Arkansans were working to get that legalized 6 years ago. So um, can't. I mean, I can verify that, but I'm not sure about that. But I know as far as recreational cannabis is concerned, he's the face of some group that's advocating against cannabis legalization in Arkansas. Um, Trying to think of what points they have for being against it. I saw one where he said something about. I keep hearing about roads being more dangerous by legalizing cannabis. And that's just not true. I think roads or cannabis prohibition makes roads more dangerous than legalization would, considering the fact that people have been stopped um, and killed because officers feared for their life because they smelled cannabis. Considering the fact that officers have initiated unjustifiable, unlawful stops and engaged in unlawful, dangerous pursuits uh, of citizens because they allegedly believe the citizens to be in possession of cannabis, which has led to, in chases and whatnot, led to people losing their lives that way. So I can see how cannabis prohibition threatens the safety of our highways. I mean, there's obviously people have lost their lives as a result of cannabis prohibition on the highway, but I don't, you know, from my personal experience and studies that I've read, I don't recommend anybody go drink and drive. I don't and recommend anybody consume cannabis and go operate any type of heavy equipment, vehicles, none of that. Especially if it's your first time trying it, you're not familiar with the side effects. No, do not use cannabis and get out here on the road and drive. I'm not saying that, especially if you don't understand how your body reacts to cannabis. Do not get out here and drive. Okay, let's be clear about that. Don't drink and drive. Um, but recreational cannabis isn't going to just make our highways that much more dangerous. Like impaired drivers on the cannabis, they usually drive too slow, stop at green lights, things of that nature. So they're like extra cautious, right? I don't, and that's newer cannabis users. Once users are familiar with cannabis and how it their body reacts to it. You don't really typically see those motor impairment skills. Motor skills aren't as impaired as they are with newer users. That's what personal experience and research suggests. Um, so I mean, the whole safer communities argument that your prohibitionists repeat, um, the science just doesn't support that statement. Like there is far more harm to caused by cannabis prohibition than could ever be caused by legalization. The most dangerous, make no mistake about it, none whatsoever. Are there cons to cannabis consumption, especially cannabis abuse, not cannabis use, but cannabis abuse? Yes, there are some negative side effects, consequences of abusing anything, even cannabis. Um, but make no mistake about it, they're the worst, the most dangerous thing about cannabis right now is being caught with it, being thrown into the criminal justice system, not being able to um, be gainfully employed, not be able to go out here and work a decent job or any job in some situations because you have a felony on your record for simply being in possession of cannabis, not being able to find a decent place to stay and protect yourself and, like I said, just simply provide for yourself and your family, um, simply because an individual has received a felony conviction or some type of criminal conviction as a result of cannabis prohibition, being killed by the people that are supposed to protect and serve you because they smell cannabis in your vehicle and they get scared. The dangers of cannabis prohibition, the harms caused by cannabis prohibition far outweigh any harms that could come as a result of recreational legalization and consumption of cannabis. Right. All right. Now we've gotten that out the way. The whole prohibition argument is irrelevant, unconstitutional, a violation of human rights, etc., etc., etc. Let's move to the more logical debate, the more reasonable debate, which is between cannabis legalization advocates that disagree on how legalization should be implemented, what legalization should look like. I tend to morally agree with Ms. Fultz. Um, I don't. I believe that the bill, the legislation, the ballot initiative that's proposed to Arkansans in November that they'll be voting on, I believe it's the worst recreational bill I've ever seen. I don't know if it can get any worse. It's horrible. It is horrible. With that being said, if I could vote, if I wasn't a felon, if I had my voting rights, I'd vote for it. Knowing what I know, knowing all that I know, I'd vote for it. I'm telling all my people to vote for it. If you see this video, I'm telling you to vote for it, even though it is the worst recreational amendment I've ever seen in my life. Vote for it. Why? Because you have these liars, these prohibitionist liars that don't go out here. You don't see them out here advocating for the end of alcohol legalization. You don't hear them out here advocating for alcohol prohibition. Why? Because more than likely, if you do some research, you'll see that they're paid by big industries, big corporations, for pharmaceutical industries, um, your alcohol industry, and police organizations that all significantly profit from cannabis prohibition. If you go do your research into these people, these politicians that are against cannabis legalization, and do a lot of real research into who are funding them and their message, it's probably one of those three industries, the criminal justice police industry, and lawyers alike. They all make good money from cannabis prohibition. And then your pharmaceutical industry and again the alcohol industry, they're all threatened. They all feel threatened by cannabis legalization. They feel like it, in some cases, a lot of cases, legalization does cut into their budget. But however, um, yeah, the whole making the world safer argument is just it's for the sheep, that don't know any better. But that's not it's dinero, mucho dinero. It's about the money. They only care about the money. They don't they don't really care about the people. If they did, they'd be out here advocating for, tobacco prohibition and alcohol prohibition just as much as they are advocating for cannabis prohibition. So, um, or even more so, honestly, because cannabis has, we actually have an endocannabinoid system in our body. Like our body was scientifically, there's scientific studies that show that our body was made to consume cannabinoids, made to process cannabinoids. Just saying, just saying. Um, so the how should legalization look debate. Why is the current initiative the worst? No home grow, no expungement. It's not freedom, in my opinion. You got people like myself and others that have experienced the worst of cannabis prohibition. We've lost our freedoms, lost the opportunity to provide for ourselves, our family. Yeah, spend time in prison. And there are others in other parts of the country that are currently, as I've stated many times before, doing life sentences. So, and this is as a result of cannabis prohibition. And this amendment does nothing for myself and those people immediately. Does absolutely nothing. It does nothing. I guess it moves the needle forward. And Mr. Armstrong stated that once this bill is passed in November, he will be working with the legislature to implement changes through the state legislature. Ms. Fultz, myself, and many others have very little to no confidence in the state legislature to pass something of that nature, which addresses the expungement issue. And I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But despite the fact that I say and believe that this initiative that's going to be voted on in November is the worst, actual worst recreational amendment that you could run across, it moves the needle forward nonetheless, because you have these staunch opponents of legalization that don't want to see any progress. And they're doing everything they can, spreading lies to stop progress. And although this bill doesn't include home grow or expungement, it brings about some form of recreational cannabis in the state. And it's an opportunity to dispel the myths, the lies about all of the dangers that will be created as a result of legalization. Once we legalize it and all of the lies are proven to be just that, lies, then I don't know, maybe in the future we can move forward um, and work towards the home grow and the expungement that you know that we need. So that's that. Yeah, that's that. I don't, it's ideally, it all would have been included in the same amendment, right? Residents would have been able to grow their own. Everybody would have had expungement. Anybody that was convicted of cannabis crimes, misdemeanor, felony in the past, all would have been taken care of at the same time in one location. That would have been ideal. But you know, you know what what we're going against. And Miss Wolves, she's I appreciate the work that she's done to bring about the medical program in the state of Arkansas. Um, much respect for that. But I mean, we have to be realistic about what's currently going on. And we've been fighting for recreational cannabis for quite some time now. Quite some time. And I see Miss Fultz and I see others now that Arkansans can potentially vote on recreational cannabis in November. I see Ms. Fultz and other Arkansans adamantly being opposed to this recreational ballot initiative, which I understand. I understand, but my problem with why I'm not comfortable in good faith saying don't vote for it, because while I see you out here, making that claim that it's not the amendment for the people and we can do better, and I agree, we could do better. Where is the better being done? Like, I know that you all wrote up something for 2024, but as far as being out in the community and actively gathering signatures, you were trying to do that this year, right? And it didn't work. Your group, Miss Fultz, Arkansas Truegrass. I came in late, but I ended up working with the leaders of Arkansas Truegrass, which is a completely grassroots movement in the state of Arkansas. It's unorganized, lacking funding. It's going to take a whole 180 reform for Arkansas Truegrass to get anything significantly accomplished. So I know what's going on with Arkansas Truegrass. I don't see us without making some revolutionary, like I say, 180-degree changes. I don't see Arkansas Truegrass being able to get anything on the ballot in 2024. I mean, we could, don't get me wrong, but with the effort that's currently being put forth, more arguing than anything. Nobody's out gathering signatures like Responsible Growth did in 6 months. From January to July of this month, they gathered almost 200,000 signatures. They put in the work. They spent the money and they put in the work to put it up before the people and get it out here so we can vote on it. Like, Ms. Fultz, no disrespect, thank you for putting in the work to get medical, but as far as recreational, you had an opportunity to put it on the ballot this year and you failed. Arkansas Truegrass, we failed. We didn't do it. We didn't get it on the ballot this year. I was part of that group. I failed. We failed. We as Arkansans, we the people failed. It's our fault that this is all we can vote on. If we wanted something different, we should have come together and really put in the work to do that. But you got the Bible Belt, you got lies, you got people scared of what the employer gonna think, what the neighbor gonna think, what the preacher at church gonna think, what the church member that's sitting next to them on the pew gonna think. I don't care about none of that. All I care about is what's right, bro. Because all of that other stuff is irrelevant. If it's all real, church, heaven, and hell, God and the Bible tell you that cannabis prohibition shouldn't even exist. So, you believe in that, you going to hell. It's just what the Bible say. He says you're wrong. It says that God, the creator, put it here for a good purpose, herb bearing seeds. It's meant to be food. That's what the Bible said. I ain't argue with the Bible. Don't argue with me. Miss Fultz, we can do better. If we can do better, then please just quit arguing with Mr. Armstrong, who him and his group, they put up the money, they put in the work. I don't agree with it. I think it's horrible, but yeah, I've already discussed that. It's a step forward in the right direction. And vote on it, vote yes, and we can change it. We can change it in 2024 if we really want to change it. I'm thinking, it's coming off as an ego issue at this point because Ms. Wolves, get out here and help us. Collect the signatures. Gather the people that you need to help you collect the signatures. If you really care about bringing legalization to the people, then quit arguing with Mr. Armstrong and get out here and get the signatures, because that's the only thing that can change the situation in the future. You already said you don't trust the legislature, so the only other option that we have is to get out here and work with what you wrote up. You got a good amendment for 2024. Let's work with that. Let's go out here and gather the signatures. Let's get the 90,000 signatures we need to put that on the ballot in 2024. That should be the only focus, and I believe you as well should be supporting Mr. Armstrong, because I guess you fear that people will become complacent once this passes and won't sign your recreational initiative, a petition for 2024. People are already complacent. Like I said, we've been working for years trying to gather the signatures, and the only thing that's been successful is Responsible Growth Arkansas and their millions of dollars from donors and, paid canvassers. People were getting paid 20 and 30, and I think I saw $40 an hour to go out here and collect signatures. That's the only thing that's been successful. With Arkansans are already complacent. Why? I don't, I guess the issue hasn't affected them the way it's affected myself and some others. So they don't, we don't care. But that's my 2 cents, man. That's what's going on in Arkansas. If you didn't know, now you know. If you didn't know, now you know. Yeah, man. I'm not even gonna get into other politics. Your Governor Asa Hutchinson and your Arkansas Parole Board and crooked police. I'm not even gonna get off into all of that. I'm not gonna get into that because if you're from Arkansas, you know what's going on as far as that goes. But if you weren't unaware of the Arkansas cannabis situation, that's a brief overview of what's going on. And man, if you want what's best for yourself, if you want what's best for your kids, if you want things to get better for the state of Arkansas and for all Arkansans, you should be voting. I believe, in my opinion, you should vote yes on the current Arkansas recreational cannabis marijuana amendment, even though, again, I do believe it's the worst recreational amendment I've ever seen. Doesn't give residents any rights to grow their own cannabis. Doesn't provide any remedy for residents or citizens that have, like I said, been negatively impacted as a result of cannabis prohibition. It does none of that. It's beneficial, most beneficial for the cultivators and dispensary owners. That's initially those are the only people that really benefit from this amendment. But it's still a step in the right direction. because we got, again, the prohibitionists that want to kill legalization any which way they can think of it. And if Arkansans don't come together to pass this amendment, they're doing everything they can to make it harder for us to pass it in 2024, whether we pass this or not, man. So you know, it's progress. It's progress. It's a step in the right direction. And even though it's hard to see, almost impossible to see, because it sucks. It really does. But we in the deep south still, in Alabama, they still sending people to prison over weed, I believe. I'm currently staying in Alabama. I know they don't have dispensaries, right? They don't have a medical program like we have in Arkansas, and like they have in Florida, right? Like, so some southern states are making progress, but you got others that don't even have medical dispensaries, right? So I mean, it's progress, man. It's progress. It's sad that in 2022 this is the progress that we have to settle for. Like I said, cannabis prohibition is a violation of human rights. So we should be far beyond this. In my point, and I mean, from my perspective, from my point of view, uh, cannabis should be treated no different than any other herb that's sold. If people want to sell it or produce it commercially, large scale, and sell it, have at it. If you want to grow it in your backyard for your personal consumption, have at it. Like, just my thoughts. Just my thoughts. That's the beauty of America, right? We can all agree to disagree. And we all ideally have the freedom of speech. So, I can't vote. Some of us have the privilege of making our voices heard through our votes. Some of us only have our voice. Using my voice, use your vote. Peace. ReleaseCannabisPrisoners.org. ReleaseCannabisPrisoners.org. Doing some work over there to bring an end to cannabis prohibition in the state of Arkansas and across the world. That's the goal. That is the goal. ReleaseCannabisPrisoners.org. Peace.